Is women's bench so bad? I mean, not compared to me. We all know that I'm a tranny freak, so that doesn't count. I know we're not talking about Mackenzie Lee. She's got little T-Rex arms and she's like 400 pounds of chest muscle, apparently. I mean, standard bench in powerlifting competition for women, I literally don't understand why it's so bad.
Let's rephrase that. Women's bench might be bad to you because you are a male who's gone through male puberty with a male amount of testosterone. Being a woman or a female athlete doesn't mean we're inferior or not capable of accomplishing incredible things, but it means we're different to men. And that's exactly why the women's sporting category was ever even created. And we deserve to be recognized and celebrated based off of those physical ceilings and our own uniqueness. Andre's record is a mediocre lift by a mediocre male powerlifter because the Canadian Powerlifting Union is discriminating against female athletes.
Alright guys, so for today's video we're going to be talking about a story that's coming out of Canada in regards to the women's powerlifting competition. Now if you can see from the title of this article, it says male powerlifter, and if you're confused, that's because this individual right here, Anne Andres, is actually a biological man who transitioned into a woman, I think 20 or so years ago. Now, if this name is somewhat familiar, it's because about 4 or 5 months ago, Anne Andre's bench press record was broken by another male who was the coach of Canada. He decided to make an example of what was going on and how ridiculous it was. So he decided to identify as a woman and go ahead and crush Anne's record. Now his name is Avi Silverberg, and you may have remembered him as well from the news. Anne's record at the time was 275 pounds, I believe, for the bench press. Avi came in and easily benched 370, made it look like a joke, and here's the video for that. And as you can see from that, light work for Avi. Now the reason Avi was able to do this was because the Canadian Powerlifting Union, Federation, whatever they're called, allow somebody to simply identify as a woman by simply saying they are a woman. So Avi literally signed up, said he identified as a woman, and this is what he looks like. They don't bat an eye at it. He comes in, crushes the record, leaves, and just goes back to being a man. And his point for all of this was how ridiculous, as I said, that this kind of standard is set, and that these women aren't getting a fair chance at competing with the amount of training and everything that they are doing, because men can just come in and do this. Now what I find a little bit humorous is that Anne had to say this afterwards.
Hey folks, just a super quick update. Yes, somebody did show up at the meet today with malicious intent, and you know what? It was nothing. It was just entirely ignored. People lifted, I volunteered, everyone was happy that I was there. And it really struck me that maybe my participation isn't necessarily fair. I mean, you know, there's science, whatever, but people welcome me because I'm actually nice to people.
Now, not only is that very humorous, it's quite hypocritical that Anne has a problem with Avi doing this, yet he does this all the time in all the other competitions. I think it was recorded at the time being that Anne had won 7 out of the 9 competitions, or 8 out of the 9 competitions, which is kind of nuts. He does, however, address and reconcile that maybe he's also part of this problem, which I'll give him kudos for that. However, he goes on to say that what Avi's doing is full of malice. However, because Anne is nice, everybody's okay with him coming in here and destroying all the records and beating all the women. Nobody has a problem with this. And as I mentioned, that was about 4 or 5 months ago. Cut to 3 days ago, where the Women's Western Canadian Championship happened, And Anne, again, was participating in this and crushed all of the different categories that were at this event. Now, this article goes on to say, according to the advanced results obtained by Redux, Andres' total powerlifting score was over 200 kilograms more than the top performing female in the same class. Andres did 597.5 kilograms versus Sujun Gill's 387.5 kilograms. A total is the sum of the heaviest weight lifted in for the squat, the bench press, and the deadlift. And here you can see those numbers. Now, in regards to these numbers, quite frankly, pretty mediocre. They kind of suck for a man, if you were to ask me. However, if you're comparing them to females, these numbers are, again, record-breaking, record-holding, and it's going to be very difficult for other women to even get close to these numbers. As you can see here, just from the squats alone, he did almost a 60 kilo difference compared to Sunjan. In the bench press, he did almost, again, a 60-70 kilo difference. And even in the deadlift, which was his best category, between her best and his best was almost 100 kilos. It was 90 kilo difference. Now, a lot of women didn't even come to this competition once they knew that Anne was going to be there. A lot of them are quite frustrated because I believe they said that Anne now holds all, if not most, of the records. And the numbers are going to be so high that no other woman will be able to come in and beat this guy's numbers. I just don't understand how anybody cannot see that this is a problem and how Anne could say something like this.
A couple of people have reached out to me asking what I think needs to be done in the CPU, APU, with the situation with that one lifter claiming to be trans just to get those medals and setting records and all that stuff. Here's the problem. You shouldn't really be asking me, because I ultimately, I mean, weird thing to say, I come from a place of privilege, which, like I said, is weird to say. You gotta keep in mind, I transitioned almost 20 years ago. I got all of my papers done. I have my passport. I got surgery. I can prove without any doubt whatsoever that I have gone through every step. Which means whatever governing body decides to make decisions, I'm going to pass that test, as it were. Because you can prove historically for the past 20 years that I've been living this way. What we need to be concerned about isn't me. I mean, I'm possibly the best test bed example case of somebody who, you could say, did it properly or whatever.
So you hear Anne saying that he's not the problem simply because he's been a woman for the past 20 years and couldn't possibly have any kind of advantage like Avi did, who just decided he was a man one day, a woman the next, back to a man again. Yet Anne is the one who is winning all these competitions. So I don't know how big of a pool we need to have, or how big of a test case we need to have where it's just constantly men coming in, or if it's just one man, or what the case may be. But clearly this is an issue. Like, we're living in bizarro land. I don't know. But as always, love to hear from you guys. Please leave your comments and let me know what you guys think. And as always, I'll catch you on the next one. Thanks so much.